Well, hello and welcome to Movie Night Autopsy, a show where we celebrate family, friends, and film. I am one of your hosts, Asher Kelly.
I'm Sam.
And I am one of your hosts, Charles Sanders.
And we're here. This show is about positive things. It's about celebrating. It's about friends. We always have potable beverages on hand at all times. And today we are enjoying a new, relatively new. This came out probably 6 months ago, 8 months ago.
It's been 5 years, man.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you serious? Okay, wait. Side note, before we even get into this movie, here's just a side note. A shout out to New Belgium. Look, you guys have been great in the beginning of the whole IPA wave and just, microbreweries in general, but you guys have gone off the handle.
This guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
No.
This is a good beer, but they got started with Fat Tire over on the
I'm
West
talking about what they've been doing recently. They have a new beer every week.
It's always a new version of Ranger, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's citrus, 11 hops Ranger.
That's why we're not afraid to bring Voodoo Ranger on the show, because we have at least. By the way, we are drinking Voodoo Ranger Classic right now. That's
the OG.
The straight up. There are about several different variations. We will.
It's 7% is what it is.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. But we're here. We're together.
Oh man, we've been there. We've been there ever since. So Jesus Christ.
But life is good right now. Life is good. Just drinking beer and watching movies. But you know what movie doesn't make you feel good about life?
That's what I'm saying.
Has anyone calmed down at all? Not just calmed down, but calmed down at all. Had any notches down on the calmness meter from Sorry to Bother You?
Dear God, sorry to bother you. Dear God, that movie.
I will never calm down from Sorry to Bother You. And I feel like I've said that before, but it's especially true right now.
It's especially true. This will make more sense later when we talk about the reactions of what happened to us.
So many spoilers.
So many spoilers, but you'll understand how hard it is for me to calm down from this movie.
We can't talk about this movie without talking about spoilers.
No.
It's a movie of spoilers.
And by the way, we normally have spoilers. We say that every time. You shouldn't usually watch these unless you're totally okay with it. But for this movie, damn, that's
there might be 2 or 3 that we didn't, but we were real new at the time.
Yeah, but it's all good. This one,
fresh-faced podcasters,
fresh-faced,
and one microphone yelling over each other. I don't like now.
Oh yeah, we're semi-professional now.
Anyhow, Sorry to Bother You. Recent movie.
We really are.
Are you saying that as the name of the movie, or are you apologizing to the audience?
It's going to be confusing. There's going to be a little. There's going to be a little bit of one.
Oh, the audience an apology.
We were rambling.
But God. Thank God for John.
Oh yeah. By the way, our lovely sound engineer is John Sidwell.
Shout out to John.
Yes.
John just was nice enough to start recording us and make us sound better. And John, I want to thank you for all of us for doing this, because it just makes our podcast better and our job's a little bit easier. So big shout out to John, everybody.
I'm drinking a toast to John right now.
Toast to John.
Mm-hmm.
So Sorry to bother you. How are we getting into this, boys? Are we going straight to plot synopsis, or
let's just go through the plot real quick.
Let's start with the movie that they sold us.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Can I actually start this part of the discussion? Because here's a good way to preface this movie. Several people have asked me about it, because I'm pretty hyped about it. After I saw it, I was like, people need to see this movie. And it's done better than expected. I don't know what the official numbers are, but I know that it has exceeded expectations. It's not a runaway hit.
No, I'm pretty sure Moonlight made more money than it did, but it still made more money than it needed to.
Yeah, so that was but what's the director's name again?
Boots Riley from The Coup, the group The Coup, which is they're really good.
I haven't heard a lot of them. Are they I know they're 90s, right?
It's a 90s hip hop.
I'm into 90s hip hop.
It's West Coast, but it's Northern California. A lot of groove. It actually kind of sounds a little bit like garage rock with some hip hop thrown in certain tracks. I haven't listened to all of it, but it's really it's fun. To me, it's fun party music that makes a point that everyone needs to know about.
It's made just under 15 million. Just throwing that out there.
So it probably only cost a couple mil, because it's not like it's a cast of unknowns.
I don't know what. I'll look up what the budget is, but I can't imagine. Seriously, I can't imagine.
Anywho, we it's done pretty well. It's a pretty recent film. Some people have been asking me about it, like, what is it about? And this is what I've been saying. And let me explain.
How do you answer that question?
All right, I'm going to tell you how I answered it, and let me explain why I said what I said, because there was a very particular reason. People asking me, and I say this. I say, okay, first thing I say is it's hard to tell you what this movie is about, but it's basically a movie about working in telemarketing, and that's what I tell people.
Well, that's the movie they sell you.
Exactly, because before we get into this movie,
trailers sell you the trailers sell you of like this movie. They like it's defined. Like I walked in there thinking, all right, great. So this is about a guy who's not white, who's trying to make his way through the working class system, and he discovers from someone else who's older and wiser and also not white that the key to doing this is to harnessing your white voice and using that to get ahead. And, you know, just FYI, they are in a telemarketing center. So he uses the white voice to make sales.
Exactly. And so, and if you know that, that's all you know about this movie, the first 30 to 40 minutes of this movie, I think, will pretty much be right in line with what you're thinking.
It sets that up. And I'd say for about the first hour, it really like digs into that. You see stuff like in the second half of that first hour where like, you know, because he gets that promotion. Again, you know, spoilers, man, like, come on. But he gets that promotion and he gets to move upstairs.
But it's
shit gets cray-cray.
And you might be thinking, okay, this movie is made with a little bit of an artistic flair. Like sometimes when he calls people,
surrealistic.
He like drops through the ceiling into the room where the caller is. Like there's a lot of
how much he's invading their space.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a movie where a lot of what's actually happening to the characters is supposed to like just be reflecting how people feel in real life situations. And that's, if it was just a movie sold on the absurdity of telemarketing, I'd be fine with that, but the movie goes beyond that, which was so surprising. That's what they sold.
That is what they sold.
Because you got to sell a movie, and that's a good way to sell a movie.
Oh, if they included what this movie turns into in the trailers, no one would have gone to see it.
Like, I don't know what that is, but we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna get there. So, but I feel like this is a good. To me, that's the best answer I came up with because we all went to that movie kind of thinking that because we just seen the trailers. We all went and saw it.
And we were excited.
We were very excited.
Yeah. I was sold that movie that they sold us.
The hype was huge. Like lots of people were saying you should see this movie.
It did good in festivals. The early release had like really strong reviews going for it. And
I highly recommend that you see this movie only thinking it's about telemarketing because it takes a hard turn somewhere. I mean, it remains, it doesn't go off it stays true to what the plot is doing. He's in telemarketing and he's doing it, but it becomes a much bigger movie.
It goes crazy off the rails, but you believe it.
Oh, and it is...
The world that it creates is a world where this can happen.
So I'm going to come out swinging. It's what? It's like the beginning of August. It's the 9th, I think.
By the way, it's 3.2 million. That's what the movie's made for.
Oh.
Just by the way, 3.2. And it made just 15? Under 15.
Yeah, and it's just started too. So
yeah.
I wish.
You know it's going to bank on like download and Blu-ray sales.
When it comes out on Blu-ray, I'll pick it up.
I will buy it.
Yeah.
That's one that I want. Like that movie got done playing, and I was just like, "Is it playing again tonight?" Like, I'm about to go buy another ticket. Like, I want to see that again.
Oh man,
fantastic movie. Anyhow, so you go in watching that, and the first half of the movie, just the telemarketing part makes some really good points about both kind of.
It's a satire on capitalism for one thing.
Capitalism and also comments on race. Comments
on race.
Two different ways that meet up in the same point.
Social class.
Yeah, which, by the way, have you guys ever worked in telemarketing?
I've worked in customer service over the phone. It's not quite the same, but it's in the same field, and I get where he's coming from with a lot of it.
Back in high school, I worked like a week at a place just because they would hire you in high school, and like I just was like, nope, I can't do this.
Gotcha.
Oh,
can't do it.
What were you selling?
I don't even remember.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah, I was like 16.
Oh, dude.
Do you guys ever get calls from your university asking for money?
Yeah, those idiots. They think I have money to give them.
Oh, man.
I don't have any money. I gave it all to you.
I still owe you money. You're asking me to give you money outside of what I owe you? Yeah, and this movie talks about that kind of shit.
I used to be one of those people who would call people and ask them to give money to the university. So right away, a lot of people can relate to kind of that surface
it's a good
level.
Thing you already have your white voice down.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
also, here's the deal. In this modern day and age, cone falls? phone calls are awkward anyway because everyone texts.
Oh yeah, nobody wants to talk on the phone anymore.
Call. So just even making a regular phone. I've known you guys since high school. I'm nervous calling you sometimes depending on the time of day. Just because I hope I'm not bothering them and I hope I have all the shit I'm going to say laid out perfectly fine and I better get it off the phone before it gets ridiculous.
That was a lot. That was a lot of information, but it's accurate.
It's accurate. Phone calls are awkward.
We don't talk on the phone. I have a lot I want to say about this movie, so I'm just going to go ahead and barrel into the crazy part of the plot. Basically, as it progresses, our protagonist, brilliantly played by Lakeith, what's the... Lakeith Stafford?
From Atlanta.
I am not saying that right.
Lakeith Stanfield from Atlanta.
He is my he's my favorite character on Atlanta. He's great.
Oh, he's so good. Yeah, he's one of the guys. He's the guy that gets picked up in the neighborhood in the opening scene.
He has a fantastic role, fantastic scene. I mean, later on in the movie, Get Out. Yeah,
his line names the movie.
It's so good.
Starring opposite of him is Tessa Thompson from Thor Ragnarok. She plays Valkyrie.
She does a fantastic. Oh, she was Valkyrie.
She was Valkyrie.
In Ragnarok.
She was Valkyrie.
Oh my God.
Terry Crews has a nice little cameo for a couple of scenes as the uncle. Yeah.
Terry Crews is in it as the uncle. There are David Cross and Patton Oswalt are voice actors, right?
David Cross does the voice acting for the white voice for Lakeith Stanfield. That's another one of those like absurdist, like surrealistic things that it does. It's not only that Lakeith Stanfield's character Cassius, he goes by Cash. It's not just that he finds a way to really master his white voice, but Boots Riley made the decision to have white actors overdub for whenever he's using that, and David Cross is the one who overdubs for Lakeith Stanfield.
It was so awesome. Brilliant voice acting. And doesn't Patton Oswalt do one, or am I remembering that wrong?
Patton Oswalt, like,
I only saw it once.
There's a character that comes along. Cash meets this character after he gets the promotion and goes up to the next floor, where they're like handling the real money, like they're handling that, like they're hinting towards that for the entire first part of the movie. That's his goal. He wants to get so good at this that he gets that promotion to go and deal with the real money. And that character, who we never learn his name because it's always censored every time he says it.
That's right. There's a character. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Is this the previous super caller that he's aspiring to imitate?
Yeah, the guy with the eye patch. And like he says his name a few times and they bleep over his name.
Mr. Blank.
Yeah, Mr. Blank.
Yeah, because that's what he's known, because you never get to know his name, Mr. Blank.
Patton Oswalt is the guy you hear for most of his dialogue because he's always using his white voice.
I was looking at this today. If you actually look through a lot of the voice actors, they're just kind of celebrities peppered in to kind of add to that idea, like what you were saying. But I found this out. Later in the movie, Tessa Thompson's character gets a job at the call center, and her white voice is played by Lily James of Baby Driver fame and The Darkest Hour, the British actress.
Oh, is she is Deborah?
Yeah.
That's funny.
That Deborah, yeah.
I think her name's Deborah.
Yeah, that Deborah. That's Lily James. Yeah, she does the white voice for Tessa Thompson.
By the way, I didn't finish this point earlier, but I think by now this is a good time to say this. Come Out Swinging. This is my movie of the year so far.
Damn.
Which is saying something, because it's been a good movie. I mean, it's been a good year for movies. It's been a good movie for years. No, this is no.
He has been trying to get this made since like 2004.
This guy is a tale of tenacity. The director.
Like this is his Deadpool. For Ryan Reynolds.
He went to film school and then he got famous doing music. Poor him.
Only he created this IP. Ryan Reynolds just kind of hopped on the coattails of a character.
But
hey, I love the Deadpool movies.
That's true.
I'm not talking shit.
Anyway.
I'm just saying that's what happened.
Anyhow, this is a fantastic movie. Anyhow, he becomes. I'm going to jump ahead. He becomes a super caller. He becomes the elite person in his job, and
because Danny Glover, the wise old, too old for this shit, caller.
He's the one who tells him to use his white voice. By the way, fascinating. We should just talk about this now. The white voice, by the way, is not simple. It's not just the fact that it's being played by a white character. Danny Glover, his character, the old timer, actually explains it. He's like, this isn't just a white voice. This is the voice of someone who's not worried about the future. The line he says is like, you've never been fired. You've only been laid off. That's it is such a good explanation of what the white voice is. You're not worried about the future.
You gotta talk to him like your bills are paid.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you don't need them.
Yeah.
And for Cash and his uncle Terry Crews, that is not the case. Terry Crews is very, very much worried about losing his house.
Because Cash lives in his garage.
And Cash lives in Terry Crews, his uncle's garage.
Yeah, his garage. And he's always hitting, he's like, dude, like, even if you can pay rent, it doesn't matter. I'm behind on the mortgage. We're probably going to lose the house. And that's what makes Cash, besides just he's not doing anything in his life, go out and get a job in telemarketing.
Exactly.
Plot.
By the way, the opening scene, I know we're
He's got a buddy who works at the place,
yes,
and he's like,
right.
yeah, like I'll bring you in.
No, backtracking. The movie opens with him in the interview, and he has a bunch of sports trophies or speech trophies.
Well, he has a trophy that he brings with him, and he embellished the hell out of his resume.
Because you know how you go for a job interview and you bring a trophy?
Especially in telemarketing.
Especially in telemarketing.
Well, you know, I mean, he's a person who isn't white who's trying to get a job, and he's talking to this guy who is white, and you know
And he brings all the accolades of institutions along with him.
It's like he's trying his damnedest to get the job, and props to him for that.
he has to sell himself.
He has to sell himself, but it also reminds me, like, imagine if like your mom planned your job
that's so
interview.
fucking brutal.
Like if your mom planned your job interview, make sure that summer you tell them that you did that. I'm like, Mom, it's not really pertaining to the job. Like, that's not really how it works. But your mom's
It's still
like,
an accomplishment.
it is an accomplishment. That's true.
That's a great scene, but the guy who's hiring them calls him out like immediately. He's like, he coincidentally is from the area that Cash is claiming to have won the trophy from, and the guy just coincidentally
Like knows
he's
somebody
lying.
at this
Yeah.
company that he put down as a former job, and he's like, they've never heard of you.
But
He doesn't give a shit.
I don't give a fuck. I just need people who can take calls.
yeah, and I think he was
Are you
impressed.
gonna be here on time every day?
Yeah, and he said follow the script, but he was also impressed that the guy took the initiative to forge the shit in the first place, and he said that also proves
go
to
to
me
all that trouble.
That also proves to me you can read, which is a compliment,
can
but
read the
also
script.
really condescending,
yeah.
right? Like,
So you can
that
read
was
the script.
that was a line
Here's
that
your script. Read it.
It
I know
cuts
you can
through.
do
It
that.
cuts through so hard.
Yeah, have you guys ever taken a job interview where the person assumed you couldn't read? Because
No.
I have not.
No.
I have not taken
No.
one. That's what I'm saying. This movie, like I said, it's like movie of the year so far for me. Like, we'll see if I see something else.
I don't know that I can say movie of the year, but like,
What else would take it? I mean,
that's a whole other conversation.
Black Panther came out. Infinity War came out.
Those are
were
both great movies.
hard-hitting superhero movies that are really good.
Black Klansman's out this week.
Haven't
I
seen it
wanna
yet.
see that.
Haven't seen it. That could be.
That's a whole nother
It
conversation.
looks great. Anyhow, other conversation. So we haven't even gotten into when the plot has gotten crazy. We need to get. All right. So he's a super caller. Meanwhile, he is dating. Her name is Detroit in the movie. But what's the actress?
Tessa Thompson.
And she's an artist.
And by the way, we will talk about the controversy around her character.
She's a good goddamn artist.
In a little bit. I feel like we should get over the kind of the plot.
I heard about this, but I'm kind of.
Let's talk about it. Let's let a little bit. We'll talk about it a little bit.
She's kind of like the living embodiment of the satirical aspects of They Live. Like she's standing on the street corner twirling a sign with an arrow that just says like
Buy stuff.
Buy
stuff, spend money.
And she's just doing it to make the statement.
Yeah.
Like the obey. Like it's very heavily influenced by that kind of approach.
And she's an artist because she does exhibition.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
Like that is art. What she's doing on the street corner is art.
She wears giant earrings too that say things like die or fight. I can't remember.
Let me go back to this for a second. So when she's standing on the street corner, flinging that arrow of stuff, pointing to your store.
With the condescending phrases and everything.
I didn't realize it was condescending phrases. I thought they picked her up from work. And I was just like, everybody's got to work at this
I'm
world.
pretty sure.
Yeah, I thought it was work.
That is crazy.
Because it's not advertising anything specifically. It's like it's calling out capitalism.
But the movies, I just assumed because when you see her, the movies already showed you some pretty crazy shit.
I should have saw this movie twice.
We all need to see this movie twice.
We should have saw this twice.
Yeah, caveat, we've only seen it once, but like I
blame the studio for not releasing it on Blu-ray yet because they would already have my money. But anyways.
Do you not want my money, studio? Which studio was it? Doesn't matter.
he's dating her, and here's
they want my money later.
The first big plot point we're gonna bring up, which is an interesting kind of a conflict within the main character, is he starts succeeding very much so at his telemarketing job and he becomes a super caller. He is dating this girl named Detroit, who is a part of a movement, kind of a quasi-revolutionary movement, but more...
She is balls deep into her ideals.
Yeah, and she's more, like, think modern revolution, so think more protesting and more people against kind of the economic situation of the day, inequality and stuff like that. She is balls deep in that, and she runs with people who are balls deep in it, including, what's his name?
Glenn from The Walking Dead.
Yes.
His name in the movie,
Stephen Wynn.
his name is Stephen Yin plays a character named Squeeze. Now
Squeeze.
Now here's the deal. This is not giving too much away of the plot, but a guy named Squeeze in a movie never plays the good guy. So just think about that. It doesn't make sense. He's Stansfield's character's friend from work. He starts to and they have like an understanding,
and then he moves in on his woman.
That's true. He does do that throughout the movie.
But then it's like,
that's why you can't trust a man named Squeeze.
But here's the thing. But they hook up.
Damn you, Squeeze.
Damn you, Squeeze. I should have known not to trust you.
But they hook up. And then like a couple scenes later, she goes back to Cash, and they just never mention it again. Like it's just like, oh yeah, well
I have a good point. Maybe it's time
to get there in the plot, though.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna talk about this when we talk about the controversy, because that's a good point Sam just brought up about the fact that she has kind of an affair with Squeeze and then just goes casually back to Cash, which is an important point. Let's put a pin in that, and we're going to come back to that. Anyhow, let's get it.
Hold on, I can't go past this. Sam, did you just sing what I thought you sang?
Casually back to Cash.
Casually back to Cash. All right, we're going to...
Casually back to Cash.
Oh, yeah.
Casually back to Cash.
We're not doing a podcast. All right, so this movie is fantastic, and you should see it.
Cash Green.
So we
Cash. Wait, hold on.
Cash Green.
Hold on.
That's the character's name.
The name of the character is Cash. This is just not hitting me. The name of the main character is Cash Green.
Dude,
yeah.
Boots Riley does not believe in subtlety.
No.
Props to Boots
Good
Riley.
for him.
By the way,
too many people hold back now in filmmaking. He needs to go for it.
This movie does not hold back.
This is a good time. We need to say this now. Some of you who are fans of this movie already know this, but Boots Riley. This is a tale of persistence, because this movie, he thought of this 15 years ago, over 15 years ago.
That's what we were saying.
He had this idea for this movie, and he was like, this is the movie I want to make. I'm going to make this movie. But most people read the script and probably...
They probably got to the part that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, and we're just like, nope, we're not making this movie. Nope.
We were buying this until then.
I need to make money off of this. That's what they were thinking, and they said, no, you get out the door. I can't say I wouldn't.
Who are we selling this to?
Yeah, exactly. Would you have said something different?
It's like you wrote a script in order to never sell it, never make money.
But dude, he did not give up. He kept going back and pushing this movie and pushing this movie and pushing this movie, and man, it was worth it.
It was amazing.
Fucking amazing movie. We should get to the part that makes everyone go.
So Cash is a power caller. Cash is a power caller. He's working under Mr. Blank. And he's taking on all these like big clients, and they're still sticking with the he calls some like hotshot Japanese businessman who's seriously on the John whenever he calls him, and he like gets transported right into the bathroom, and he's like looking him right in the face.
Yeah,
like that's the kind of shit that he's doing. But here's the thing: at this point, he's not trying to just like I don't even remember what they're selling in the lower floor.
It's probably just like some cheap subscription service to whatever, something cheap thing that works. But they make a point that when you move up the ladder,
Regal View is the company.
Yeah, Regal View is the company. They make the point when you move up the ladder, you sell nicer things.
Yeah, but then it turns out that the nicer things that you're selling is literally like
slave labor.
Yes,
because there's this company in the movie called Worry Free, and you see commercials for it.
Slave labor.
Yes, it's basically advertises itself as this company is just like, listen, we can
sign your life away.
We could take care of all your problems. You don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about lodging. We'll take care of everything.
We'll give you a bed. We'll give you 3 squares. You'll do some work.
Okay, horse people. There, cat's out of the bag. So
are we jumping straight to the horse people?
That's where this is all going, man.
There's other stuff in the movie.
But seriously, Cash is selling like
horse people.
Hordes.
hordes
of slave labor, of regular people type people to start off with. That's what, like, whenever he's talking to that Japanese businessman, that's what he's doing. He's selling slave labor.
That's what worry-free is.
Like, imagine if Google monetized slave labor, and then they like gave a big press conference and had Armie Hammer, the fucking Lone Ranger, come out and give a big speech about how great this is and how efficient everything's going to be.
I just want to take this time to personally thank the company Google for allowing our podcast to be on Google Play. And thank you to our friends at Apple for allowing us to be on iTunes.
We would never insinuate that their companies would.
Their companies.
I personally welcome our new ant overlords. But that's the,
I didn't vote for Kang.
Implication. I voted for Kodos. That's the implication that they're making is, like, that's who Armie Hammer is. He's like that charismatic, Tesla, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs kind of character.
He's like him, but he's a businessman, and he's the CEO of this company, Worry Free, and they throw this huge party.
But he's charismatic. He's likable, and he's good looking,
and he's got money,
and he's got so much money.
And he has fun with his money, and he wants to have friends, so he has these big parties, and he wants to be friends with people, and they want to impress him because he's like the biggest client they have. They got to schmooze, and he likes schmoozing.
And he loves to schmooze.
So the conflict...
You might as well face it, you're addicted to schmooze.
So the conflict that is brooding right now...
Yep, too bad I'm the only one who has
We are hatless. Okay, so the conflict that is brooding right now is between kind of Detroit and Squeeze and their crew, which is anti-everything that Worry Free is doing.
They're organizing, like, legit... like protests and
rallies,
full-on strikes, walkouts, like slowdowns, cease works.
Meanwhile, Cassius is rocketing to the top of this company, and he is enjoying all of the attributes of his job. He's got stuff and money. People are paying attention to him. He's getting more recognition than he's ever gotten.
Oh man!
Whenever all this stuff gets upgraded, that was such a good sequence.
Let's talk about that sequence. It's like the 10 minutes. It's like the end of Act 1, into Act 2 of him getting money, like real money. Like, it's that thing of like, so it's him and Detroit in the garage apartment, and then all his stuff turns into nicer, newer stuff, but it doesn't, and it looks like you ever had a pop-up book as a kid?
Yeah, like the old thing splits in half and the new thing comes up above it.
So the set is
and
like
then
a
the old
pop-up
thing just
book
kind of Infinity Wars out of the scene.
Yes, there's dust everywhere. We have to clean it up. There's but there is like newer stuff, and this is where Boots shows his talent technically as a filmmaker. He does fantastic transitional shots in between the stuff.
A lot of them were really strong.
Yeah, the stuff Cash has and the stuff Cash got. Like
that sequence was so good.
It's so good. Like they show Cash, and this is just
a lot of the shots look really good.
It's a good looking movie. In this sequence, there's a shot that I love, and it's just a cool film school nerd shot where he gets in his crappy car, and then they cut to a close-up of him through the windshield, but then they pan back to reveal a new car.
A very new car.
Looking
so slick.
And it's amazing looking car.
And he goes and picks up Valkyrie in it.
Yeah, and it's just this great... it's great. It's perfect because...
And Glenn, but like with a face, is just like...
Glenn with a face.
Wish I could be hitting that.
But this transition, and it's smart to have another film nerd thing. It's smart to have this much of a transition represented the beginning of a second act, because that's if you want to get a map out and draw some shit on the board. This is the second act.
Our protagonist has now officially gotten to the next stage of this story.
Like Boots Riley might as well come out on camera and say, "Second act 2, Act 2," and then walk out. And,
because here's the thing: as good as that stuff was. It was very clear that this is the first time Boots Riley has directed a motion picture. Yeah,
it's got that stuff of a lot of beginning filmmakers where it's stuff that like they've been gestating on for like 10 years, and there's a lot of cool tricks and everything.
Like there's a couple of scenes where it's like it holds on the last thing that happens just a little bit too long. And I don't know if they're like buying time or what, but like it holds on like I think there's a scene where people are like laughing at a joke. And it just does the thing where it like holds on them laughing at a joke, or maybe they were like applauding at something, but it just holds on for
a little bit too long for you.
Yeah, like like if you can cut this by 15 seconds and you're good.
15-second laugh. Yeah, that's a long time in a movie. But like I'm super impressed, but I get it. If you told me this was somebody's first movie, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Well,
From a production side.
Yes.
now I want to get into. I'm gonna just speed through and get to the part I already spoiled. Oh, and by the way, the tension is building up. This is by the way, this is the time Detroit has an affair with Squeeze because there is a tearing in the ideals. Detroit is clearly still in her like, we need to fight against this corporate power that is abusing people who can't fight for themselves. And Cash is stuck in a place where he's like, well, I'm succeeding more than I have ever had. I'm doing better than I ever have.
He'd be a fool to walk away.
Why would I walk away? But if now...
I support you in solidarity is what he's saying, but he's also like, I gotta hustle, and not only
I gotta make my money.
He's working more. He's physically not.
Yeah, he's not with her as much. That's another thing that
So they
leads to the
split up.
affair.
But they have such a nice apartment.
Well, I'm gonna jump
nice
ahead.
apartment.
I'm gonna jump ahead to the part I already spoiled. So at some point, this is where the movie just like fucking goes Dust Till Dawn or
Cash-
Matrix on your ass. Like this is when the movie is like.
Till
This is when the I
Dust
just gotta
Till
get this
Dawn.
off my chest. Cash goes wandering into a facility. I've only seen it once.
Well,
I can't
here's the
remember
thing.
why
Let's
he's there.
at least set up what happened before he walks into that hallway. He goes to a big schmoozing party with Army Hammer.
Yeah,
It's
the big guy who's in charge of
It's
everything.
the first time he's been invited to that. He's the guy who's in charge of, what was it, like Worry Free? Is that the name
Yeah,
of
it's
the
the
big
name of the
company?
company.
The
Worry
big
Free.
corporation,
Worry
Worry
Free.
Free.
That's the slave company.
He's the owner and the CEO, like just like the be all end all of this company, Worry Free.
By the way, the first boss from the IT crowd is kind of like an over exaggerated version of this character. I thought, like,
I do.
If you tone down that guy a little bit, that is the what's his name, Army Hammer.
Army Hammer.
Yeah,
he's the guy that played the Lone Ranger in the Lone Ranger movie.
Fun fact, if I can be that nerd who does fun facts.
Man, I like Army Hammer.
Fun fact, 10 years ago when George Miller was going to make a Justice League movie, Army Hammer was going to be Batman.
That could have potentially been good.
That could have been good.
It could have
I
been
want to
good.
read that script. I've heard about it. It sounds
Yeah.
fantastic.
Anyhow, he
I mean,
goes
come
to
on,
this. He
Mad
goes to
Max.
this smooze fest with
Schmooze
all
fest.
the
Yeah.
all the big players.
And Army Hammer's character, let's see if I can look up what his character's name is.
Staff, I believe his name.
I'm trying to
Steve
remember.
Lift.
Lift.
Okay,
Staff,
Steve
Lift.
Lift, which is
Lift,
definitely
Lift.
it's one of those kinds of names.
In
you know,
your
for
face,
sure.
not subtle.
for sure. So Army Hammer Steve Lift invites Cash to this party because it's such it's like a big formal affair, like but we're gonna party like it's 1999, and so he goes naturally. He wants to show face in front of the guy who controls literally everything. So he goes to that party.
And the guy likes him.
And
he
Steve
likes
Lift
him
loves
because
him.
he is selling product, man. He's doing a good job.
He's
Like
the
he
golden
likes
goose.
this dude.
And not only do I like you as a person, but also you're black. I can use that. Like literally, that's a plot point.
Yeah, that comes up later.
Yep.
That's a plot point. At one point, Steve Lift puts him in front of all of the white guests and says, "Yeah, just bust out a freestyle real quick."
Oh man, that scene
Oh my
is
God, I
heavy.
forgot
Oh
about
my
that.
Quick
god.
freestyle.
Oh my
And
god.
his character can't rap.
Yeah, he can't rap at all.
Yeah. So what does he do? He just throws out the
The
N-word
N-word over and over again.
over and over
And by the
again.
way, the audience is
Loves it.
repeating
They are
what he's
getting
saying.
into it.
No, they're not just getting into
and they're
it. It's
parodying
call and
it
response. It's call and response. So
parodying.
he would literally say like da shit, da shit, da shit, and they would repeat it da. And at that point,
we are not
at
going
that
there.
point,
Because we are not going there.
at that point in Asher Kelly's mind, I was like, well, now we're just at a Kanye West concert. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. Like, I'm sorry,
happens.
but just a bunch of white people getting
Man,
excused.
let's be honest for a second. That beat was way better than
That beat
anything
was
Kanye ever
bad.
did.
Let's not get to throwing that much shade.
Oh man,
Anyhow.
all the shade.
So
it is Florida.
It's clear they've set up this dynamic. He goes to this party. He kind of has that level of disillusionment that he's struggling with because he still recognizes I'm doing well, and he's like, because he goes for
he's
it.
got money.
When he doesn't realize he can rap. It is Cassius's decision that he realizes if I say these words and kind of exploit the situation I'm in, these people are going to fucking love it.
Exploit himself.
He exploits himself.
He exploited
exploits
himself.
and he does it willingly. Now, after this scene,
Blaxploitation.
The things we do for wealth.
after this scene, he goes wandering.
He gets called.
Why is he wandering? How does he get in this scene?
He gets called into Army Hammer's office. Steve Lift says, "Hey, come on, man. I wanna talk to you one on one."
We're having a private party, so he makes him a drink and has a line
and
for
throws down a line. They've been doing coke this entire time.
There's a lot of coke.
A whole lot of cocaine.
They're all successful business people.
Like more, they're like more cocaine than the Fox Disney deal. That's ridiculous. And he does the line of coke. He drinks his drink, and then he's just like, "Hey, hold on real quick before we continue this conversation. I got to go to the bathroom."
Oh my God, I'm getting so excited.
And Steve Lift is like, all right, it's you go down the hall and it's third door on the left or something like that.
That's how he ends up. Okay,
that's how he ends up. That's how the movie quickly
and I
changes.
swear to God, we all went and saw this. We all went and saw this together. And I remember sitting in the theater, and he walks into the room, and when he walks into like it just looks like a public showers, like a gym shower area.
Yeah, like
an
industrial. There's pipes and there's like weird.
Yeah.
It's like this
with
weird
shower stalls and then like some bathrooms and sinks. And so he walks through that, and I swear to God, I remember looking towards you guys and just being like, "Did he just walk into a different movie?"
You said that so loud. I'm pretty sure everyone in the theater heard you.
And by God, he sure did. He walked into
a totally different movie. By this point, the movie's like you thought it's like this is a goofy comedy about telemarketing, and it teaches you stuff.
And it really hits some points on the nose very hard. But I'm enjoying it because like it goes like the surrealistic, absurdist approach.
If the movie had ended right before this scene, I'm like, well, I wish the movie would have had an ending, but I enjoyed my time.
Yeah, it would have been like the Dr. Strangelove of capitalism.
But no, he just walked into Saw on acid is what he just walked into.
Because a horse person pops out from underneath one of the showers. A horse person. You're hearing that? You're hearing that right?
Horse person. Not a horse, not a person. A horse person.
Like
in pain
a BoJack
because they're a horse
just
person.
fell out of the shower.
Just all 10 foot of him.
I'm not doing good, man.
No.
Nude.
I'm not feeling good,
falls
man.
on the shower, says, "Please help me."
Yeah, he's crying in pain. Reminds me of Alien. Reminds me of someone
like
from
Aliens,
fucking Alien.
Like Alien 4, I think.
No, just any Alien movie where they're like, "Kill me." You know how that's like a trope from the Alien movie? Like someone's like, "Just kill me." Like that horse man was like, "I'm in pain. Help me."
Yeah, because that's what that horse person wanted. That horse person wanted to die.
This is when the
he was
movie
in pain.
shows you you're not watching the same movie anymore.
I refer to this from Dusk Till Dawn moment.
This is the from Dusk Till Dawn moment.
From Dusk Till Dawn moment.
Yeah.
I've showed that movie to people, not telling them what that movie's about. And then they think they're watching
off like a heist movie.
It's a heist movie with a caper with a couple brothers.
With hostages.
It's
in
a caper.
Getaway.
It's a whole thing. Halfway through the movie, you're watching vampires.
It gets existential and philosophical while they're in the camper on the way to Mexico.
Yeah.
And then they get to Mexico and it's a vampire movie.
Yeah, it's a vampire movie. And you just watch spoilers for another movie. Who hasn't seen From Dusk Till Dawn, honestly?
Seriously, fuck you. Sorry. I mean, no, we love you.
Bad people.
We love you, and we want you to be here. But like, you should have seen From Dusk Till Dawn. Your mama should have told you. You should have seen From Dusk Till Dawn.
You should finish this podcast.
And now
listen to everything else that we've done, and then go watch.
You gotta go watch From Dusk Till Dawn. Get the fuck out of here.
Over again because it makes our analytics look good.
Yeah.
It does. So he has walked into the horse people part of the movie.
So he is that. So we enter a new stage of the movie where we're now freaked out because there is a now new horror element
what the
thrown
hell?
in.
Okay, so somebody's got to throw out some exposition for that.
Yeah. So like this is a point in the movie theater where everyone just kind of starts looking at each other and we're wondering what the hell's going on. Because none of us can believe that there's horse people.
But luckily he freaks the hell out and runs back into Steve Lift's office.
Yeah,
and he's like there's.
Did you see the horse people?
There's horse people.
Yes,
I don't know if you know this, but there's horse people.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, here's the thing. You went into the wrong room, but I mean that saves me like the reveal of the horse people part of what I was going to talk to you about.
Yeah,
I'm selling. Not only am I selling slaves in the traditional sense of the word with normal people, I am genetically modifying them so they're more efficient slaves.
I'm going to turn them into horse people so we can work them harder,
sir,
and then we can sell the slaves for more.
Sir, I believe the proper term, according to Steve Lift, is equisapien.
Equisapien. Yeah, that sounds right.
They do it. So his plan is to take the people that he has for worry-free, which are essentially slaves. They've already signed their life away, and experiment on them to become horse people.
By giving them a powdery substance that they crush up, and then it is snorted by the subject.
Yes.
And Cash has already done coke with this guy like 20 minutes ago.
Just done coke with this guy.
Or he thought it was coke.
Thought
and the
it was
guy
coke.
tries to say, no, man, you're fine.
No,
It's
and
just
in the
coke.
moment, the guy's just like, dude, no, that was coke. It was really good shit, and it was
He's
coke.
like,
coke.
I
Don't worry
wouldn't
about
give
it.
you that shit without telling you. He
he's
says
already-
that specifically.
I'm
He's
not
like,
a monster.
I'm not. Yeah, but sure. I'm not. You're
really-
turning people into horse people. Oh,
He
fuck
really
you.
tries to pitch the idea of
people.
And by the way, the CG effect or whatever the hell they did was brilliant. It was
Looked good.
grotesque.
look good.
Kind of looked like someone was kind of just born because they kind of always look wet. They have a weird,
embryonic.
wet feeling to them, and you don't feel comfortable ever seeing the horse people.
No. And it's like you were already kind of uncomfortable, but it was funny enough that you could like laugh at the stuff. Now it's just like, I don't know how to feel about this.
It's not funny anymore.
Yeah.
That's when a movie becomes decidedly not funny for a second.
So Lyft tries really hard to sell Cash on the idea of becoming a horse person.
Yep.
Because he's
Like,
you're-
look,
you're
max 5 years, then I'll give you the antidote, and you're going to be so fucking rich.
Not only that, he's like, I'll give you like $100 million a year or something like that. He's like,
Yeah,
I need you
he's
to-
going to be so good goddamn
he's like,
rich by the end of it.
We've perfected the formula for horse people. They are basically better than human. So when Lyft talks to him and he tries to sell him on the idea of making a bunch of money and being a horse cock, he's also like, listen,
Sorry to
I need my
podcast
man
you.
on the inside. I need a Martin Luther King, but one we can control. And this is where it gets into like conspiracy theory territories of the idea of the revolutionary fighting against the system is actually placed there by the system to control the revolution because they know there's going to be blowback. However, they can control it. And you hear random conspiracy theories about this, but you see this in other certain movies that deal with this kind of crazy thing. Like like that's when you know that the mad genius is too smart, is when he has contingencies to not only get what he wants and find a way that he can genetically make what he wants, but at the same time he knows how to counteract all the problems that exist. Not only is he like, dude, $100 million, horsecock will control the revolution. Like that's crazy when he goes down that tangent.
I kind of want to hit you with your tinfoil hat, but there were some good
But
points
he
in there
does
too.
make that point though.
But there were some good points in
He
there
does
too.
make that point of like,
No,
be the
I mean,
revolutionary control.
yeah. He clearly states his intent to control the revolution.
It's a fake revolution, which is crazy.
and he would be the Martin Luther King of the Equisarians. What is it?
Equisapien.
Equisapiens.
Since we've already spent a lot of time talking about this, I want to just go ahead and say, after this scene, just speeding through, Cash is reviled by what he's seen with the horse people, and he goes on kind of a PR campaign, kind of trying to uncover the truth of the horse people. He goes on he's on all the news shows, he's on late night shows.
Well, to do that, he goes on to an incredibly humiliating reality
What's the name of that show?
I don't remember, but
It was
it's
like shit. I got kicked in the balls or
It's
something.
it's very idiocracy
It's
because
so
that is
Idiocracy.
from Idiocracy.
Yeah.
Ouch
Oh, that's right.
ouch my balls is Idiocracy.
Ouch my balls is idiocracy.
But it's the same kind of concept.
Yeah, it's just like let's fuck you up on TV so people can laugh.
and people will laugh at you.
Yeah.
And like he did that just so that at the end of it he could say what his message was.
Yeah, well, he has that
and
video on his
people
phone.
recognized. Well, yeah, exactly. That was what his that's what his evidence was.
Yeah, he played the video from his phone.
Yeah.
But that was it. He had to go through all that. He literally had to dive through shit. Whenever like he sends that message out, he's literally covered in shit.
Yep.
Covered in
yeah, that's
fecal
right.
I gotta look at
matter.
the
That's
name of
right.
this show because it was ridiculous.
That's what he was doing.
Yeah, and that launches his PR campaign against the horse people.
By the way, it's called I got the shit kicked out of me.
I got the
that's
shit
the name of the
kicked
show.
out
I
of
got
me.
the shit kicked out of me.
So he goes on this PR, and he goes on many other shows. Like I said, like he goes on news shows, late night shows, kind of like thing. But one of the points that the movie brings home is that within like a few moments of like, by the way, a lot of this movie's pacing varies a lot because what I'm describing right now happens within like a couple of minutes.
Well,
like they show the whole breadth of his PR campaign.
The first like hour and 20 minutes, I feel like it's paced very well.
Yeah,
Like,
No, I'm not saying it's not
really
paced badly,
naturally.
but I'm saying this movie has some scenes will progress very
Yeah, it
slowly
goes-
and
it
there'll be a
goes
lot
real
of
quick.
development, and then it will blast through some narrative very quickly.
It shows you some talking heads with Cash, talking to news organizations. You get the point, and then it goes from that to Lift is hailed as a groundbreaking genius who's revolutionized the labor force.
And it hammers the point. I think even Cash says this. It hammers the point that he's like, man, I've been going around telling, but no one seems to care. Like, I'm taking this message to everyone, and no one seems to care, which was super relevant for anything that's happened in the last couple of years.
His buddy says, listen, you presented a problem. His buddy said, you presented a problem without a solution. People don't know what to do about it, which is super relevant.
But this is the catalyst that makes Cash want to go back to fight with the revolution and try to, like, tip it over the breaking point. That's what it was. Like, he goes back, he makes amends with Squeeze, and by that I mean they just don't talk about him fucking his girlfriend.
That's a form of amends, I guess.
All right,
they just don't talk about it.
I am ready.
He rejoins the fight.
He's back on the line. He's on the picket lines.
Yeah, I'm ready. By the way, I'm ready. We're going to talk about this controversy. This is a new controversy.
This came out like today,
This is like today.
Like Boots Riley responded
what happened?
No, okay, so basically Boots Riley was being...
Y'all tell me?
Okay, now I'm speaking as devil advocate, so this is not Asher speaking right now. Basically, Boots Riley was being called out for the character of Detroit failing, what's the name of the test? The Birder test?
Something like that.
It's the test that, like, of what does the female character does? Is she in love? There's this, like, the criteria. And
get the hell out of here. I love the Detroit character.
That's his point.
This is my point. So I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not Asher Kelly. I'm just repeating the controversy of what happened. Basically, people were getting on his case because this character failed the test. They were saying, oh, you're just using her kind of as like a black, not a blaxploitation character, but like she's like this over the top, overly sexualized character. Anyhow, let me get to the bottom of this. People were attacking him. Boots replied online saying, hey,
what you got, Boots?
You can think about it this way. But I would pit my character Detroit against a lot of characters that passed that test, because he's like, I wrote a character who fucked who she wants to fuck, and that's her business.
Yes,
that's and that's what I wanted to put a pin in earlier. Is like, I think the affair illustrates that, man, Detroit was the one in control. She decided to go fuck that dude. That's her business.
The movie is through Cash's eyes, so you don't see everything through Detroit's eyes.
Right.
But like, as much as you see Detroit, you find a fantastically strong character.
Oh hell yeah!
That does what she wants when she needs to. She has a point, and she gets what she needs. And when she has sex with Squeeze,
she is sex positive.
She is sex positive. She wears a shirt that says the future is female ejaculation.
Oh yeah.
That shit is crazy. So like, when she has sex with Squeeze, first of all, if you want to be technical, her and Cash are on a break. Second,
they were on a break.
So like, second, she can do what she wants. Like, maybe in a more traditional sense, this will be seen as something. And I know more traditional movies want to wrap everything up in a bow, so that, like, you know, in another type of more Hollywood movie, when the girlfriend of the main character goes to sleep with someone else, they deal with it and they have problems, they reconcile. This is not that movie.
Yeah, they're not going to deal with this problem.
This movie's already made the point that it doesn't care what you're expecting. You're going to get something else. And it does that with every character. It does that with every plot point.
Also, we're going to hang on this landscape for just like a little bit too long.
And by the way, the biggest rule that the character of Detroit broke, I think, if I remember correctly, was the fact that she was
so great.
She was romantically involved with the protagonist, so therefore she was breaking the rule, because I think in order to appear to the rule, but like the point that Boots was making, the point that, by the way, normally I think what the fuck is it called?
For every rule, there's an exception to the rule.
No. Basically, I like the rule. I think the rule points out a lot of things, but like, I'm with Boots on this one. The character of Detroit is dynamic.
If this was the Avengers,
everything she does in the movie is in line with the character.
Yeah, it makes perfect
that she
sense.
establishes.
If this was a more mainstream movie,
Tessa Thompson plays it so well.
Can we talk about Tessa Thompson for a minute?
Oh, she knocked it out of the park.
She is not only so great in this.
Tessa Thompson,
I think it is.
I loved her as Valkyrie, but she was better in this.
Here's the deal. I'm trying to think of every movie I've seen her in. I'm going to forget a few, but if we just go over her portrayal as Detroit, and sorry to bother you, her portrayal as the Valkyrie in Thor Ragnarok, and her, I forgot the character's name, I apologize, but the character she plays in Annihilation,
I didn't see Annihilation.
Character.
Oh yeah, that was a good movie.
She was, okay, so the movie, it's the women go into that weird void prism thing, and random things happen, and
that movie's
Natalie
so weird.
Portman and Jason Leigh are the last two. spoilers, sorry, but her
Spoilers
character
for
is
yet
the
another
last
movie.
character,
That's
and
not
what
the
her
movie we're talking
character,
about.
yeah, what her character does in that moment is so strong. Not only that, these performances that I've mentioned are so different. Like this girl's like
Tessa
she's
Thompson got
talented.
range.
I apologize for saying
Talent.
girl.
Tessa Thompson
I
got
didn't say
range,
hold on.
y'all.
I gotta correct myself. I gotta check myself. I said girl.
Check
That's
yourself
wrong.
before you
this
wreck
woman,
yourself.
this person's going somewhere, and this shit's about to get crazy with Tessa Thompson.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
And Detroit is a perfect example of what she is capable of.
She's
a
great.
great role.
Hit it.
She's
Fantastic
great.
role.
Oh, it's amazing. My favorite
quick
performance of all the
shout out.
movies. Of all every
No,
my
she
favorite
was.
performance in the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. Like I liked her.
Yeah,
I liked her a lot
I
as
think she stole
Valkyrie.
I think she had the strongest performance.
You know, like we're breaking into nerd stuff a little bit, and what we're doing here. And Thor Ragnarok, I enjoyed that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't like the first two Thors, but she was definitely one of the best parts about it. She's better in this. She is better.
She
in
is
this.
so good in this
But
movie.
anyways,
but the Boots thing, he responded on Twitter and kind of checked a few people. We'll see how that develops over the next few days because that was like the news of today on this particular date.
Also,
I tend to agree with him. I didn't read the whole thing because it was a lot that he wrote, and I was just at work today.
selfish.
I was at work. Sorry, but I mean I could see how traditional people would. Excuse me. I could see how people would attack the character of Detroit in a traditional sense, but it's just a non-traditional character, and people have to get real.
and I'm sorry, if you look at every
Exception of the
other
rule.
big blockbuster movie being pushed by Hollywood, I have to attribute it to the fact that this movie is getting picked on because I'm like, all of them are filled to the brim with shallow
Yeah.
female characters, and you chose Sorry to Bother You. You
Yeah.
chose Detroit from Sorry to Bother You as
they
the
had to
one.
they had to find something about the movie to talk shit about. But yeah, but seriously, you make a good point because I mean, like after all, there's clearly just so many strong female characters in the Meg.
Yeah, the Meg is going to be
the movie we've yet to see.
And I didn't see it, but by the way,
Has it come
no,
out
I'm not
yet?
talking about the Meg, but this next movie I'm about to
Sorry.
mention, which I'm sure is good, and I'm sure I want to see it, but I'm sure the new Mission Impossible movie doesn't feature phenomenal female portrayals.
I would
Actually,
disagree.
there's a handful. Like there's a couple
there's two.
there's a couple strong female characters in this
Two?
movie.
In Mission Impossible 6?
Yeah, there's at least two.
Rebecca Ferguson and
I don't
Michelle
know what their
Monaghan.
characters' names are. The
Yeah,
blonde one and
They
the
were great.
brunette
I
one.
love Mission Impossible 6. It was great. Anyway,
I heard the movie was
Boots.
good, but
Oh yeah, it was.
So
it's
anyhow,
worth the watch.
by the way, there was another controversy with this movie that's not
Another
as
one
recent,
you don't
not as
say.
recent, but like it deserves some note.
Man.
This movie. Now it's I don't want to speak authoritatively because this is I would need to know a little bit more about the situation, but the movie has not been getting as much international distribution, and Boots has
Man.
come out on social media.
I have heard about that.
Saying that he's pretty sure it's because this is a quote unquote, this is what I say, black movie.
But it's not.
It is totally not.
It's not.
It has a strong influence of
yes, it does. It's like this will be a different movie with white people.
But
for
it's,
sure.
But it's not a movie that personifies blackness necessarily.
and what I also want to say is what he might be saying is people might not be showing this movie because it is being made by African Americans and black people.
I can't speak to that effect. I do know that he has
Black
referred
man
to.
tries to make a movie.
I can't
The
speak
world
to that.
just holds him down.
The world just holds him down. This movie needs to be seen everywhere.
Yeah,
That
and
is-
absolutely.
I don't like
For
I
sure.
said,
Yeah.
I don't know as much about
If you didn't catch this
What?
movie in theaters, you're gonna regret it. Like,
I don't know as much about who is saying don't show this movie and the reasons they're saying not to show this movie, but I'm immediately kind of more sympathetic with Boots because the guy's he's been pushing this movie for over 15 years. Like I tend to believe him if he's saying, hey, these people in these countries in like Northern Europe or Western Europe or something like that aren't showing my movie.
the
you
biggest
know?
market
Black
is China.
Panther didn't do great in China.
Black Panther didn't do great in China.
It did very well, like in most of the world, but it
Not in
didn't.
China?
It didn't do as well as other
Because China's
as other comparable movies in China.
isn't China a bigger market than the U.S. for movies?
No,
Oh,
not in general.
but I know it's.
Like
I know it's.
for,
I
for
know
some
it's,
movies.
I
Like
know. What's
like The Mummy did shit in the U.S. The money that it did make, it made in China.
Yeah, but isn't China considered like such a large market that if you don't get your movie in China, there's a chance it may be a failure?
No, China is a big market, but it's not bigger than the U.S. market.
Okay.
They don't prioritize film as much, I don't think. I feel like even Japan might
No. China is like the number 2 market.
Okay,
gotcha.
But
if your movie doesn't make money domestically,
because I feel like what
done.
I meant to say is I feel like Japanese culture is more excited about film in general.
Japan has
more,
a rich history of fantastic film that's gone from the 50s to now. But that's another.
Also, I was gonna say we could have a podcast just about the foreign market.
Yeah, this is also
seriously.
a tiny bit political, but Japanese people also probably have more freedom to watch and talk about movies than Chinese
communist
people
culture.
Yeah, I mean,
Although
the
full circle,
the internet, man,
Yeah.
they have freedom.
That's true about
to
the
use
internet. But full circle, talk about Chinese culture. Boots has referred to this as a communist movie. I believe Boots has. If I'm wrong, tweet at us and tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah,
it's
tell
an
us we're wrong.
anti-capitalist movie, is what it is.
By the way, we're
agree.
coming.
It's an
I
anti-capitalist
feel like
movie.
I think I've read somewhere that Boots said that, and if I'm wrong, tweet at me and tell me I'm wrong, and I'll rescind it. But I felt like I've read that today.
This happens about midway through the movie, but one of the iconic scenes that comes from the movie is that Cash is crossing the picket line and he gets hit in the head with a can.
Yeah,
a can.
And that becomes a viral video, and he spends most of the movie with like a gauze on his head.
How
did we forget about that?
But
I don't know.
so,
But it's go ahead.
But what's so awesome about it is that now that we've talked about the movie in its entirety, when you fast forward, he becomes an icon for the people later on after he gets hit with a can, and people literally start wearing bands around their heads with cans attached to them as a symbol that they're in solidarity.
Like solidarity.
With Cash.
At first, it's hard for him to get taken seriously because they're like, "Aren't you the guy who got hit on the head with a can? Aren't you the horse around?" Like, it's that thing, and then it becomes
what
like
is this? A
symbol.
crossover episode?
It becomes a symbol. Don't you start? Don't you? We already mentioned horse people.
Started.
I know
Horse people.
So it becomes a sign of solidarity for people with cash to wear the bands around their head with cans, and then shit goes crazy in the riot.
Yeah, the riot breaks out.
A riot breaks out. Cash gets knocked out. He wakes up inside like a paddy wagon. Racist term,
and then horse people break him out of the paddy wagon.
Yeah, he makes a phone call right before, and all the horse people come up, and you don't see it because it's a movie on a budget. It's kind of implied, but all the horse people just kind of push the riot police away and kind of take over the situation.
You hear that outside the paddy wagon.
You hear that, but you don't see it. Very clever.
And then they rip the door open, and it's a bunch of horse people, and they're like, "Hey, you guys are free now."
Yeah, and
so he goes and reunites with his girlfriend.
Like
Detroit.
The riot disperses, the Equisapiens take off,
and it's like happily ever after.
It's like happily after. He moves back in his uncle's garage, but he kept all the cool
he
stuff.
pays off his uncle's house.
So he kind of helped, and he still lives there, but he kept all the cool stuff.
All the cool stuff.
He kept the nice TV.
So you see the old environment with like the new stuff.
He still keeps the cool appliances and the new stuff. And then
he becomes a Equisapien himself.
He freaks out. He turns around to look at his girlfriend Detroit. His hands are over his face. He moves it. You see these giant nostrils, and then it cuts to black.
He's a horse person.
He's a horse person. But there's a horse person. Is it mid credits? Or like right after?
It's like a mid-credit
It's a mid-credit sequence in Lift's home.
Because it just like the credits start rolling the second after. Like it's just like, oh God, he's a horse person, and now credits.
Credits.
It's like, oh, fuck you, movie.
Fuck you, movie. I'm a horse person.
Movie.
It's ridiculous. But the credits roll, and there's a mid-credit sequence where at the rich guy's house,
Steve Lift,
lie on the couch, probably sleeping off a bender. Knock at the door. It's a bunch of Equisapiens. The one in front is Cash.
This is Cash Green. Here to give you that ass whooping that I owe you.
And then they bust down the door right before they're about to kick his ass.
Oh yeah,
that's the by the way, we don't mean kick his ass. They're gonna kill him.
Like, he's gonna be dead.
He is gonna be a dead man.
I get why they didn't film that, but if I would have saw that scene in that moment, I would have been cool with it.
I mean,
like Quentin Tarantino blasting Hitler's face off of his body. It's like I would have enjoyed it.
No, I said this when we left the movie. I was like, man, I really wish there was just like a few more minutes of that last scene when the horses break in there.
So, are we at the point where we talk about our first reactions walking out of the theater?
Well, me and Asher, we were vocal right away. In fact, I believe I was the first one to say something, and I said, I don't really know what I just watched, but I'm pretty sure that I loved every minute of it.
Fair
And
enough.
I still feel that way.
Fair enough. I was very all right. So this is a thing. I feel kind of. I watched there was an interview with Trevor Noah and Boots, like maybe like
Boots.
a week and a half ago or something
gotta
like
watch
that.
that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's not that long, but it's pretty good. And I Trevor Noah said something that I agree with the spirit of it, but I would have never thought to say it the same way. It was kind of a Matrix movie for me.
How so?
And so that you walk in and you watch it, and after you watch it, you're like, oh man, you painted the world in this way I've never thought about before, but now that I've thought about it, I can't unthink about it.
And for me, it wasn't quite like that. Like, it wasn't like I had never painted the world that way before. It was like, these are all things that I had recognized separately.
But you put them together.
But to view them all together in the way that Boots
and the way that
presents
he
them.
put them.
But
like,
what was the thing Trevor Noah said?
and those actors did. And that was basically, it was the Matrix.
Okay. Oh,
making
man.
me think about
Things differently.
The actors, props to the actors in this movie. They bought in.
Oh my god.
They bought in so hard. It's like every single one of them realized that this is a movie that they can't believe is being made. They can't believe that they're able to be made. And it's likely that a movie like this will never be made again. So we got to get it while the getting's good. And just seriously, they own it.
Okay, so if we're on a topic of first initial reactions, walking out of the theater, you guys were talking. We all shared a car driving there. We all decided we were going to go to Applebee's afterwards because it's up the road.
Cheap food.
Cheap food. Cheap food, cheap beer. We walked out of the
You
theater.
get what you pay for.
I need to make a point here. I'm going to need your guys' help. And I'll let you know when this happens. I didn't speak.
Voodoo Ranger.
I didn't speak for the first 10 minutes.
That's true.
After this movie happened. There's a point where we're walking to the car and you guys asked me, and I just kind of have a look on my face.
So what'd you think, Chad?
I don't know what to make of it. And I was just like, I can't talk. I think at most I went, talk. And then I just kind of kept my mouth shut for a while because I didn't know.
You sound like somebody who's worried about his bills, Chad. You sound like you at all.
So I just kind of sat there for a while.
I know you've never been fired.
I've sat there for a while not saying anything. And when we get in the car, you guys are still talking. And it's a short drive.
Oh, yeah. Me and Asher were very vocal right away.
It's a short drive from the movie theater to Applebee's. It's like a block.
Yeah, we could have walked there.
You guys are talking about it.
We could have walked,
in the car. And that's when I kind of bursted a little bit. So if you don't mind, I want to do a little bit of a recreation. So what I want to have happen is, imagine if you will, we are in the car driving. Asher's driving. I'm in the passenger seat. Sam's in the back. And Sam and Asher are going on about the movie. And I don't say anything for quite a while. And I've not said anything for quite some time. And then I just kind of lose it in the middle of a conversation. So if you guys just have a conversation, I'll pop in at some point.
Okay, so they're making all these Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man, and it is just fucking. I'm like, how can you make a Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man? That's like we're making Star Trek, but there's no space.
Well, we're gonna find out in October.
Well, I don't want to find out because it just sounds like a fucking dumb idea to me. Like
it does.
Like it's like, okay, we're gonna make Braveheart.
What was that? What was that movie? What did I watch?
Yeah,
was it good? I don't know. What was that?
That's exactly.
And then I didn't speak for another couple minutes, and I calmed down.
That's exactly what happened.
That's what happened. I interrupted the conversation with my brain.
But we were talking about the movie that we had just seen because there was just so much to talk about.
I didn't know what to do. I eventually came to the conclusion this was a good movie, but it was so outside the box that my brain was a little bit exploded.
I loved every second of it.
I was in the passenger seat, sir.
Even like in the middle of the third act where it kind of started to drag for a minute because I was just like, look, movie, you're clearly here to do something, so let's get to the thing that you're here to do.
That is true. It does drag in the third act.
Like, clearly you have a thing that we're building towards.
Do the thing you gotta do.
Let's do it because I know that it's right around the corner, and like there's a period about halfway through the third act where I felt that way, but other than that, I had no complaints about the movie whatsoever, and I really don't know what else I can say about this movie.
I love this movie.
Other than you should see it. If you have listened to all this and haven't seen it,
Actually, you know what? That's impressive.
That's amazing.
I don't know why you did that, Aaron.
It is impressive. Oh, that's a cheap shot.
Hooba Joob.
Hooba Joob.
Our boy Hooba Joob.
Hooba Joob gets it.
All right, he gets it.
But this is a fantastic movie.
God, I love this movie so much.
If you miss this movie in theaters, like, I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like if I saw this one later, I would have regretted it.
Yeah,
Like-
I would be really bummed out. But I loved
yeah.
it. I loved everything about it.
I'm so glad I got to see it in theaters.
The cast is amazing. They all bring their A game.
By the way, wait.
They realize the situation they're in, and they just get it.
Yeah.
Really serious note here. I'm not a huge Tune Yards fan. Do you guys know Tune Yards?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's a this lady. She makes music. It's phenomenal. I've been listening to it for a few years. I'm not a hardcore fan.
So you're
but
not a big fan of this phenomenal person?
No, like she. Okay. I am kind of a fan. She makes music. She's the
And
type of
clay is
person
cracking,
that's like,
people.
hey.
The clay is cracking.
No, she's like the type of person that's like, hey, I made this track on my iPad, but this like glitch left this loop in, and I left it in my song because it sounded dope. She's like that type of person.
Oh, yeah, you just go with
she was one of the main composers for music on this movie.
Yeah,
Nice.
Which I did not know. And she went and I think spent a year in Haiti and made a whole album off of dance music in Haiti too. But like, I mean, no, like a friend of mine.
Well, the music works very effectively.
A friend of mine, shout out to Richard Hopkins.
Apart from the one song that I should not walk away singing, that's the one I did walk away singing.
No, yeah, you don't. Yeah, so
The rest of it, I did not walk away singing, but it's kind of like, it's kind of like They Live. Like, the music works very well, but I couldn't tell you how any of it sounds.
But super awesome that she worked on the
Yeah,
music.
this movie's fantastic.
Yeah, if you haven't,
I love
it. Like, seriously.
Do yourself a favor, go see it. Fantastic cast.
Even if you've already seen it,
go see it again.
We
It's one of the most
obviously have
original-
way too much to say about it.
Obviously, it's one of the most original movies I've seen this year and probably in quite some time.
I don't think that there's ever a point in time that I'm going to run out of things to say about this.
I imagine that if I was like in high school right now, this movie came across, this would affect me in incredible ways.
Oh yeah, like Fight Club, get the fuck out of the way.
Fuck out of the way,
Like,
Fight Club. They Live, we'll see. Like, this movie's
Hey,
insane.
don't talk shit about They
I
Live.
can't. I felt bad saying that.
But this is a great movie.
I
Everyone
love
should
this
see
movie.
it.
Thank you again for listening to Movie Night Autopsy. Hit us up on the social medias. I'm Chad.
I'm Asher.
And I'm Sam.
Thanks for listening. What's up, crew? If you got any idea of what you would like for us to talk about on the Minute or on Movie Night Autopsy podcast, hit us up on the social medias. You can hit us up on Twitter at movie_autopsy. Check us out on Facebook at Movie Night Autopsy. Always feel free to email us, contact@movienightautopsy.com.